All right, I think we're live now, and
Yep, there we go.
a little glitch. It's all good. I don't know. My internet could have cut out too, or something. It happened. My
Uh,
internet's crappy lately.
Looking closely.
Anybody catching this at the start? This is the I think is it the Darnell Brooks or Darrell Brooks?
Daryl.
Getting confused. Okay, Darrell Brooks trial involving the incident at the Waukesha parade last year and his antics as he represents himself.
I do want to say too that the reason why, I guess, besides the fact it happened on my birthday, it was also the very first time that we ever got a strike on our channel.
Yeah.
So this whole case kind of sort of sticks in our heads because we were very well acquainted with a lot of different things regarding it, and
Yep.
with it being on my birthday and everything, yeah, it was just a shame that it had to happen. I couldn't believe it when I first heard about it. I was like, "What the hell?"
Right.
Are you done with this exhibit, sir?
Yeah, for right now, yeah.
See, like that's what I mean. He'll do stupid things. Like he'll make them look at a video and then he'll ask a question about stupid pants. Like, if only that mattered. Let's not talk
Right.
about anything about the fact that you were just arrested. Let's not talk about the fact that you just ran over how many people. Let's not talk about the fact that you did this or this or this or this or this. If nothing else, he's going to end up having one hell of a story to tell the inmates. But when he went to court, I could see a book being written.
Oh, no kidding.
And you made reference to finding sandwich, credit cards, things of that nature in the pants, correct?
I found the sandwich while you were laying on the ground.
A sandwich?
And you also stated that you found a credit card and things of that nature. In fact, would it be fair to say that that's what was in your hand on Exhibit 176?
Do you need the exhibit to answer? Do you recall?
There were, I don't, thank you. There were what appeared to be credit cards and ID and a car key.
And they were in your hand, correct?
They were.
So would it be fair to say you also found those and not just a sandwich?
I did not pull that stuff out of your pocket, sir. That was a different officer. I did hold it while he finished searching you, sir.
So, I'm sorry, that threw me off. So you obtained that the credit cards and all that from a different officer.
Yes.
Did you find anything else?
On your person, I was not the person searching you. Aside from
They're really,
sandwich
yeah,
from
we're
the
going to
ground.
stick to the facts on this one. It was you, buddy.
So as far as your search, you just found a sandwich.
Correct.
So you going to ask what kind of sandwich it was?
Wait, it might happen.
And at the time, do you recall why the suspect was being detained?
Yes,
And what was the reason?
because you matched a description that was broadcast over the police radio
I love it
of
when
a
they do that.
suspect involved in the parade incident.
Why isn't he correcting her?
Good question.
Because he
And
remembers
this
very
report,
clearly.
did you
that.
write it yourself or did another officer?
I wrote it.
Do you recall writing that the suspect was being detained for investigative purposes?
Yes,
Any reason why you wouldn't state what those purposes were in the report?
yes, because at the time we had contact with you, I was not fully aware of the circumstances.
Or would it be fair to say that you just stated why the suspect was being detained?
that I just stated why this, I'm sorry, what was the question exactly, sir?
Would it be fair to say that you just stated when asked why was the suspect being detained at that moment? You
At that
answered,
moment,
yeah,
yes.
at that moment that you detained the suspect. You stated because they matched the description of someone involved in the parade.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
But then you stated that you just stated that at the time you weren't fully aware.
I knew that people had been hurt. I knew that shots had been fired. I did not know how many people were hurt. I did not know by what mechanism people would be hurt. I did not know the magnitude of the injuries. I just knew that something violent had happened.
So it'd be fair to say you weren't in the known of a lot of information at that point.
That's true.
Grounds.
Overruled. Her answer may stand.
I mean, also, you can tell, too, how very few times they object when he's questioning the witnesses.
Yeah.
They rarely do, unless he's way off base. But, I mean, at this point, he must realize his ship is sunk, I'm sure.
Told. So it'd be fair to say at that time you didn't know unless you were told.
Didn't know what.
He likes to
How the
confuse
suspect
people.
obtained a coat.
I asked the resident of the house you were at. Actually, I believe he volunteered to me that he had given you a coat to wear.
And you checked the pockets of the coat.
Yes,
And did you find anything?
I did not find anything.
Hey, Mars.
Hey there, Mara. How you doing?
Like, I don't know how they're not laughing at his crazy questions. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of gossiping going on over at the prosecution table.
At what point did you learn that the suspect who was being detained would be arrested?
At some point later,
And it was another officer's vehicle that the suspect was placed in, correct?
correct.
Do you recall what evidence you may have been searching for at that time?
You know, a lot of times you don't know until you find it.
So do you recall what maybe you might have been looking for a weapon or anything like that?
That would have gotten my attention. Yes, absolutely.
Did you find any weapon?
No, sir.
All right. There's another guy here that they got up here.
Name is spelled Luling.
Thank you. Go ahead, Attorney Alfred, your witness.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Officer Willing.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I want to direct your attention to the date of November 21 of 2021. And you were aware of the Waukesha Christmas parade taking place that afternoon. Is that correct, sir?
Objection, leave.
Correct, I was working.
Hold on. I understand we think there is some leeway when it's just laying foundation, so it's overruled, and the witness may answer, and the answer he provided may stand. Go ahead.
Correct, I was assigned to work the Christmas parade.
All right. At some point in time, were you aware of injuries to those involved in the parade, sir?
Objection, leave.
Yes,
Overruled. Thank you.
No need to
yes,
be
Mara,
sorry,
he
Mara.
is.
It's all good.
And at some point later that evening, were you aware of a suspect being taken into custody in the 500 block of Elizabeth Street?
Objection, leave.
Overruled. You may answer.
yes,
All right. I want to direct your attention to that time frame, please. Did you respond to that area, sir?
yes.
Where did you go?
I was initially parked setting up a perimeter near the area of Southwest Avenue in Wood. When I heard Specialist Klein come over the area indicating that there's a subject going door to door in the 500 block of Elizabeth Street, I then traveled north and to Elizabeth Street, which is right off of Southwest Avenue, correction, Northwest Avenue at that point. And I traveled westbound on Elizabeth Street looking for the subject.
Yeah, Mar. Last year he drove through the Christmas parade. He actually killed one kid and injured many. But he killed one kid and I think 5 of the dancing grannies or something.
Yeah, I think it was the dancing grandmas or dancing grannies.
I think there was one older guy too that died. I don't know. It's terrible.
What did you see when you
Yeah.
arrived in that area?
Initially, as I came to the area, I observed an officer from the village of McGuanago, an officer from the Big Bend Police Department, as well as an officer from the City of Delafield Police Department area. I traveled westbound, spotlighting residents in the general area looking for the subject. Initially, I didn't see anyone, so I made it to the end of the streets, at which point I began to double back. I briefly stopped and spoke with some civilians in the area, just saying, hey, if you see anyone, call the police department, let us know. And as I traveled back eastbound on Elizabeth Street in the 500 block, I observed the 3 officers from those aforementioned police departments detaining one subject at gunpoint in the front lawn of 553 Elizabeth Street.
You had indicated there were people out and about, civilians.
Yes, there was some people out on their porches or patios. I had my lights going on my squad, so that drew attention for people to kind of look out and call out to me as I was making a Y turn.
Do you know about what time of day this was?
Not off the top of my head, it was dark out though.
Okay. As in relation to when the incident at the parade occurred to when you're arriving in this week, can you give us a rough time frame?
Overruled. Yeah.
45 minutes, an hour at the max.
Okay. When you roll up on 553 Elizabeth Street, tell me what you saw.
So as I was coming back eastbound, I could see the lights from the other officers illuminating a subject on the ground. I immediately pulled up, parked my squad, got out and began running to where the officers were. And as I came up to where they were in the front line area, in the sidewalk, they were in the midst of handcuffing and detaining a subject on the ground.
The subject that was being handcuffed and detained on the ground, you see that person in the courtroom here today?
I do, yes.
Are you able to identify him?
Yes.
Would you like him to remove his mask in order to do so, sir?
Please.
Mr. Brooks, if you please.
So the subject I saw was Daryl Brooks seated at the defendant's table wearing a dark colored suit with a gray shirt.
And you said he was already on the ground in the process of being handcuffed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you see any officer slam Mr. Brooks to the ground?
He does
Jason.
not like taking off that mask.
Overruled.
No.
Did you see any use of force directed towards Mr. Brooks by any police officer on the scene at that time?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
Did you approach?
Okay, now, see, I do got a situation. I mean, I've been trying to go through this over in my head and stuff for the last few days. I think he purposely intended to drive through the parade? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I don't think that was his mission. I don't think it was premeditated. I don't think it was whatever. I think he was actually, like he said, fleeing from the scene of another crime. And maybe didn't know the parade was happening and ended up in the parade. And I guess once you're in it, what do? You know, I guess he had to do what he did in his mind because he was already in the parade. I mean, he never they hit the brakes. He never, which then kind of sort of makes you think that maybe it was premeditated and he meant to do it. It's so hard to tell because he didn't pose to be a threat to that guy when he went up to his house and he gave him a sandwich and stuff and a coat. He didn't seem like he was a threat to anybody. He didn't appear to be a threat with that other guy that when he was in his backyard. You know, he didn't seem like he was whatever, but leading up until the parade, yeah, he had that altercation with his ex and whatever. Threatened to kill her. I think he was mad at her, most definitely. But I don't know if he meant to go into the parade. I mean, they obviously have to be able to prove it one way or the other if it was an intentional act, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then because he didn't try to stop, it might be intentional because there were no brake lights. Nobody saw brake lights. So it's really hard to say how it's going to go. It's going to be interesting to hear the verdict on this one.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes.
Did you speak to him?
Yes.
What did you say?
I asked him to identify himself. At that time, he said Brooks. I can ask him to identify himself. He identified himself as Daryl Brooks.
That's the name he gave you, identifying himself.
Yes.
Objection. That's not what it says in the video.
Overruled.
Yes.
All right. Did that name have any significance when you heard it, sir?
Yes.
Why?
I knew prior to responding to that location that Officer Moss, who had initially located the car, had made a cursory check of the vehicle. During that time, he found documentation belonging to a Daryl Brooks.
I mean, I honestly do agree that he definitely needs to be punished to the highest whatever, because what he did was downright despicable. But was it intentional? I don't know. Hard to say. Yeah, it could have just been a case of the wrong. I mean, I don't know how he got into the parade by going through barricades without realizing there was a parade because every road was blocked off. the damage done to his vehicle was insane. And it was all from hitting people. Like, I was just like,
Crazy.
oh my God.
At some point, do you recall getting Mr. Brooks up off the ground?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
Tell us what you remember at that point.
Dale Brooks was picked up off the ground or assisted off the ground. He was then escorted to the front of my mark squad where I searched him.
At this point, are you probably the only officer from the City of Waukesha Police Department on the scene?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I was the only officer from the city of Waukesha at that time.
The other officers were providing mutual aid to the City of Waukesha Police Department?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Being the squad from the City of
That's how most
Waukesha
of the
and the parade
testimony
occurring in
things
Waukesha,
go.
did you take custody of Mr.
Wow.
Brooks?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes.
Imagine.
Prior to placing him in your squad, was Mr. Brooks searched?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
Tell us what you remember about that, sir.
So I searched Mr. Brooks, during which time I found some cards in his right pocket that had his name on it, as well as a black Ford key.
When you say some cards, what can you describe those further, please?
Debit or credit cards.
All right, I'm going to show for you an item that's been marked as Exhibit 176. It's been previously admitted. Ask that it be displayed for the jury again, Your Honor.
Permission granted.
Oh, what are we looking at?
You see the photograph on the monitor in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
Yes.
Where are you?
I am the officer with his back to the camera with police written across a fluorescent yellow and orange vest.
Do you recall what you were doing at this point in time?
At that point, it looks like I'm buckling Dale Brooks into the back of my squad, or
right.
placing him into the back of my squad.
And you see a set of hands on the right side of the photograph, sir?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
You see the objects that are being held in those hands, sir?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Consistent with what you just testified as to the items you removed from Daryl Brooks before placing him in your squad.
Objection.
Overruled.
Consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes.
Wow.
It's a little blurry, but can you circle for us the key that you indicated you found?
With my finger, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's a little hard to see, can you describe that key as you recall?
As I recall, the key was a single key. I don't recall there being any keychain to it. It was a fob type that had some buttons and it had a Ford emblem on it that indicated it was a Ford key.
Okay. What did you do with these items after you, well, strike that. Should ask a better question. Did you eventually get these items back from the officer who was holding them?
Yes.
And what did you do with them?
I took custody of them until they were ultimately turned over to Detectives Stern and Detectives Carpenter.
All right. Do you remember Mr. Brooks asking you why he had been detained?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled.
Yes.
You may answer, sir.
Yes.
Do you remember specifically what he said?
Wow.
I recall that he had questioned why the police were handcuffing him or why the police were detaining him.
Did you reply?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I told him that he was being detained as
This
a
is
match description of
crazy.
subjects involved in a crash in the downtown area.
Did you say anything about the parade?
You don't
No.
see this all the time. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, officer. I don't have any other questions for you.
Oh, but you know Buddy does.
Any cross?
Yes.
Of course.
Go ahead.
Do you recall speaking with Officer Moss that evening?
Not distinctly. There might have been some radio traffic between me and him at one point.
So it'd be fair to say that radio traffic, you guys spoke.
I can't tell you if I had direct contact with him or if I just recall him airing particular pieces of information.
Do you recall any particular bit of information that was aired by Officer Moss?
You're going to have to be more specific.
Do you recall Officer Moss airing that he had spoken with a potential eyewitness who indicated that they had observed numerous suspects run from the vehicle?
Objection, hearsay.
Grounds.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Ooh.
I recall
He
Officer
actually
Moss
sided
airing
with
that
him.
to the officers responding in general that there may have been more than one suspect that had ran from the vehicle.
And that was said earlier in the trial
you
that
recall
there
remember
were
that?
If
several
that aired
people
information,
that they seen running from the vehicle
Mhm.
wait a second, back that up.
of all different sizes.
You just stated that there may have been any reason why
Now, if I was
the air
him,
information said it
that's
had been,
where I
that he
would've
had spoken to a
focused
potential
my
eyewitness.
attention.
Objection, hearsay, and
Right.
false or speculations to the words of another person.
Grounds.
Sustained. Rephrase your question.
Like, yes, they arrested him. Yes, they caught him. But, well, what about those
Do
other
you
people?
recall any air information of
Did they question
description?
them?
Yes.
Do you recall what they were?
Objection, hearsay.
Grounds.
You're asking him the description of the suspect leaving the vehicle?
What he heard aired.
Overruled. You may answer.
I recall there being a description of a either light-skinned black male or possible Hispanic male wearing a white shirt, as well as the potential of a white male with curly brown hair.
But he didn't have a white shirt on. He had a red one on.
Do you recall what you did after hearing that air information?
Yes.
Did he?
What did you do?
I responded to Officer Moss's general location, at which point he requested that a perimeter be set up. So I responded further south to set up a perimeter to keep those people within the confines of that perimeter.
Do you recall what general area that was?
You're gonna have to be more descriptive to what general area are we talking about here?
The area where Officer Moss was.
Officer Moss was at 338 Maple.
Is that the area that you responded to?
Generally, yes.
What do you mean by generally?
I was driving to the residence when he asked that a perimeter be set up.
Welcome
And do you
back,
recall where
Charlie.
you set that perimeter up?
Hey, welcome
Yes.
back, Charlie.
And where was that?
It was loosely around that residence as well as to the south and to the west.
What streets were to the south and to the west?
Numerous streets.
What I'm referring strictly to your perimeter that you set. Do you recall which street you set your perimeter?
I want to say that I was probably the southernmost squad at that time, and I was at Southwest and Wood.
I'm sorry, what was the second street?
Wood?
Thank you.
I don't know, this is crazy. Like some of his questions are relevant, I think. I think
Mm-hmm.
they make sense and they are pertaining to the case, but I honestly don't think this is going to help him in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
While setting up your perimeter, did you receive any more information about the suspects who fled from the vehicle?
It was all kind of at the same time.
Do you recall being advised that the male black had possibly fled southbound and that the male white may have fled in a westbound direction?
Your Honor, Jack moved to strike. He's providing statements and facts that are not in evidence. They're based on hearsay.
The question
Sustained.
was, do
But,
you recall being advised that?
but wait,
That was the question.
I think that's important though. If other people were seen leaving that vehicle, how can they say it was him? Other than the fact that there were witnesses that seen him behind the wheel of the vehicle in the parade, but these cops weren't privy to that information because some of these cops didn't even know what had really gone down with the parade. So to their knowledge, there was like 3 suspects. And these people had fled or all fled from the thing. But why don't they follow up and say what happened with the other 2? Did they look for them? Did they track them down? Did they question them? Did they not fit the description? He never admitted he did it, because if he did, he wouldn't be sitting here in trial. So how did that work out is what I'm
That's
wondering.
what I'm wondering is like if those others in the vehicle were people that he knew and he was the one being falsely accused, why didn't he, if he was allegedly being falsely accused, why didn't he give their information out? I mean, he was in the vehicle with them. If this is the case.
Yeah, well, where did those people come from?
Yeah.
Did they just pop out of nowhere when he drove into the driveway? Like, what? I don't understand where these other people came from and why they were not part of this trial. Like, they should have been. Have a lineup, perhaps. Who done it? I don't know. But
Does he recall being advised?
he's not pushing it
So
enough,
he's
I don't think,
sustained.
on that area. I think he should if he really.
So who were you advised by?
Officer Moss.
Actually, no, Mars. No, it didn't come back. It wasn't his vehicle. It was his mom's vehicle. I don't know if they left the vehicle or not. I don't know how they got there. There was just these other suspects they said that they seen. Nobody said anything else after, really, about it. It was,
Right,
it's
it
being
just
brought
kind
up
of
now.
dropped. Mm-hmm.
But this is the second time now I've heard it in this trial, but it doesn't really go any further than,
Right, it was isolated down to him.
yeah, like how did they go from all these people fleeing that area and that vehicle around
To
that
one.
vehicle
To
to
one.
him? I don't understand. Like,
And do you recall what you were advised?
I'm not disputing that it was
Hearsay.
him. I think it was him. But
Sustained. Next question.
what happened to the other
Grounds for
people?
sustain, Your Honor?
Next question, please. Hearsay.
Is that hearsay?
It's not hearsay. We had a lesson on hearsay the other day as well from the judge. Now, That was when she let him go on a 50-minute
And how did you
rant.
end up being dispatched to the 500 block of Elizabeth Street?
I heard another officer error that they were listening to Waukesha County communications, indicating that there was a person going door to door in the 500 block of Elizabeth Street.
Well, even if they weren't in the vehicle with him and they were just seen leaving the area of the vehicle, why were they by the vehicle?
Right.
Like, this all happened within a few minutes of, things. Yeah, I don't understand how it went from, I don't know. I mean, they got the right guy, but how they got there, I don't know.
I'm sorry, you stated you heard that?
Yes.
Would that be like hearsay?
Only if it's being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. If it's just explain what he did next, then no.
That was the same question I asked before, Your Honor.
See, now I think he should have had this all prepped prior to coming to court today.
And upon arriving at Elizabeth Street, you stated that there was already a suspect being detained at the moment that you arrived?
No.
Man, I thought he did say something like that.
So what did you observe when you got to the 500 block of Elizabeth Street?
I already explained that upon getting there, I traveled westbound on Elizabeth Street until it ended, at which point I turned around and came back. So when I initially got there, I didn't see anything.
Did you observe someone being detained at gunpoint?
Not upon initially getting there, no.
Not initially. Did at any time you observe someone being detained at gunpoint?
Yes, I already said that.
Do you recall what they had on?
Yes.
You state for the record and for the jury what they had on?
They're red t-shirts and blue jeans.
Now, see, I thought it was a red t-shirt he had on when he was arrested, but they said one of the people had a white shirt on, and there's a big difference between red and white, and being black and being white. I think that those other suspects definitely should have been looked into. I'm just saying they should have been.
Blue jeans. Were they jogging pants or blue jeans?
Appear to be blue jeans.
Yeah, I think he did it too, man.
And do you recall why the suspect was being detained at that time?
Yes.
And what do you recall about why they were being detained at that time?
You were being detained for involvement in a crash in the downtown area.
That was bigger than just a little crash. I don't know why he decides to trip up the cops. I mean, they're trained to not be tripped up, or should be trained to not be tripped up. It's not like this is the first time they've been to court.
When the suspect was detained, do you recall stating that you were confident they were either the driver or passenger of the vehicle found at 338 Maple?
No, I never said that.
Did you give a report about what happened that evening?
Yes.
Did you write it yourself?
Yes.
So if he gave a report, is that not what he's reading?
I would think so.
Or he's crossing out things on the paper.
So I'm reading from your report right here that you just stated that you wrote. Do you recall saying, I was confident that Brooks was either the driver or passenger of the striking vehicle?
That is in my report. However, you asked if I said that. I didn't say that. That's more or less an internal dialogue with myself saying that I felt confident that you were the suspect, either the driver or passenger in that vehicle.
Now, I don't know how I feel about the cops writing their own reports. I mean, I would think it'd have to be like anything else, or should be like anything else. If we have to give a report and give it to the police, they have to give it to a cop as well. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, I don't know, them writing their own report. I don't know. I don't like that. Yeah, he's definitely reaching. There is no doubt. I mean, do I blame him? No, he's like basically, fighting for his freedom, right? So, I mean, he definitely messed that up by doing what he did. But he has the right to a fair trial, right? So, I guess he's trying to make it fair, maybe. Yeah. Well, when I went to court for that assault charge, when I was defending myself against my husband, I represented myself too, but I pled guilty to it because, I mean, in my eyes, I was guilty of, regardless of how it came about, I was guilty of, I guess, hurting him because I did do it. There was circumstances behind it that caused it to get to that point, and he definitely, it was in self-defense, but in my mind, I couldn't sit there and plead not guilty because I did hit him. So it doesn't matter how I hit him or why I hit him. The fact is I hit him, right? So I pled guilty to the fact that I did do it. I wasn't going to dispute it, but I was a nervous wreck, man. Even the 5 minutes I was in front of that judge, I was just like, oh boy, this is some real shit. And it was scary. Crap. Yeah, it was. I definitely should have probably had a lawyer or something. I couldn't imagine being him.
So it'd be fair to say at the time of your report, you were confident that it was more than one person in the vehicle.
No.
So why did you write the report in that fashion?
I was confident that you were involved with that vehicle and with the crash in the downtown area.
So would it be fair to say that you could have written your report in that fashion instead of the fashion that you wrote it?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained. As to the form of the question.
Any reason why you were referred to a passenger?
Yes. Initially, there was reports that multiple people fled from the vehicle, from the area of the vehicle.
Right. So now what happened to those other people? That's what I want to know.
Right.
And because of those reports is why you wrote your report in that fashion, or in that fashion that you wrote it.
Objection asked and answered. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Yeah, it's crazy, Mar, because this dude, like, he just seems like he's just in there to rule the roost or something.
I don't know what his thing is.
See?
I would be nervous
Okay.
representing myself too, because I don't know all the legalities.
Exactly. You don't, unless you're a lawyer or judge or. For crying out loud, the jury even needs instructions. You think you don't need instructions when you you need? I think you need some knowledge of the law, and that doesn't mean knowledge by firsthand experience because you've been arrested so many damn times. I think you need knowledge of the law and how it works in the courtroom.
A little further back, I'm sorry. Maybe, yeah, wherever it's at right now, 409. Can you play from here real quick?
You want the sound, I take it?
I don't really think the sound is necessary. More so the visual.
Okay. Playing from 4:15.
Now I want to know what was said.
Do you remember this video?
No, I didn't. That's not my body cam video.
Pause. Go back like 2 seconds.
Thank you once again for doing that.
Is that this touchscreen right? Is this right here the credit debit cards that you found?
I can't tell what that is.
Can you clear that?
Madam Clerk, please and thank you.
Thank you. Can you go back maybe 2 more seconds? I think it's a clear shot.
For the record, Your Honor, it's not that easy to just jump back 2 seconds. I mean, if he has a specific time, we can jump to a time.
How would I know if I've only seen the video once? Why is it that big of a deal? Can you play from right there? Right there,
4:35, Your Honor.
4:35.
Now it's on 4:37. We
Can
started
you pause it
at
at
4.
4:35?
Right,
Oh my
it was started
goodness.
and then you said pause, and obviously it takes time to do that, so. The record should reflect that Mr. Brooks has drawn a circle around something on the still image. Go ahead, ask your question.
The record should reflect on consent to that name.
Ask your question, sir.
Around the 4:35 mark, you can see
It looks like he still has stuff in his pocket, though.
whoever's this is holding
Maybe it was a sandwich.
the credit card, debit card. Is that you?
Objection. That's in fact not in evidence, Your Honor.
Sustain. Rephrase your question.
Can you clear
No,
that?
that's not him. It's him over here with the police thing on.
You said that you found a key. Where's the footage of you finding a key?
I don't have a body cam, so there's not going to be video of my body cam.
So if you were wearing your body cam, it would have depicted what you found during your search.
No, the city of Waukesha did not have body cams during this incident.
If he had one, it would have shown it.
So it'd be fair to say there is no footage of you finding a key.
Objection.
Grounds.
It's argumentative, and he's already said he was not wearing a body camera. He
Actually,
can't
he
know
said,
possibly. It's speculation. He can't know possibly.
he said the city of Waukesha didn't have body cams. He didn't say.
It's sustained, it assumes facts not in evidence and calls for speculation on the part of this witness, and there's also lack of foundation as to this witness.
The foundation is this mysterious key he said he found.
The jury will disregard that statement made by Mr. Brooks. It's not his time to testify. You will have an opportunity to do that later if you choose.
I don't consent to being called that name for the record.
Wait, what did he just say? I don't consent to be in court that day for the record?
Yeah, I guess so.
Does that mean he's not testifying?
I don't know.
I guess that's his right to waive that. It's probably for the best
You can take that off.
if he doesn't testify. Silver citizen has spoken. Free the sandwich. Oh yeah, I know, right, Charlie? She must have a headache daily.
No doubt.
At any time that evening, were you able to detain any other suspects?
No,
I don't think he's going to get off, but I would definitely push that about the other people. If I was him, that's what I would do. I'd be like, wait a second. You said there was other people. What happened with that? Nobody followed up on it. Awkward silence.
After the suspect was detained, do you recall how long you stayed at the scene?
which particular part of the scene?
Well, where
you had detained the suspect?
At 553 Elizabeth Street.
Correct.
I don't know.
Off
was he
my
detained
best estimate, I was
anywhere
probably there
else?
for about 25 minutes.
And what did you do in those 25 minutes?
During those 25 minutes was time detaining you, as well as briefly speaking with the homeowner, and ultimately turning you back over to detectives.
And what did you do from there?
From there, I went back into a perimeter position.
Would that be referring to the perimeter that you mentioned that you had set
Yes,
around the area of where Officer Moss was located?
yes.
Why would he go back to?
And how long did you stay at that perimeter?
Oh, I completely agree, Mark.
I'm not 100% positive. Extended period of time.
Do you recall why you?
And there may be nothing to
dispatched back to that
the
perimeter?
other stuff, and that's why they're not going there.
At that time, there was a possibility that there may
I would have
be
thought,
another
it's a
party involved.
crack of a door
So
open.
as the
Why not run
investigation
through
was
it?
still ongoing and they're attempting to determine if there was another party involved, the perimeter was maintained so that no one could squeeze out through that perimeter and flee.
So even after he was detained, he went back to the perimeter in case there was other people. So the police did. I mean, they must have thought there was other people. Prosecutors are all sitting over there kind of giggling. Like little school kids.
And do you recall there being ring footage of the residents of 553 Elizabeth Street?
Yes.
Did you view those? Did you view the ring footage that evening?
No.
You
Did
were
you
on
view the
it.
ring footage at all?
Yes.
I assume once this witness is done, they're going to be done for the day.
Are you aware of what happened to the ring footage?
A copy of the ring footage was emailed to me by the homeowner. And it was ultimately placed on property inventory at the Waukesha Police Department.
And social media and media.
Do you recall if it was multiple videos?
It was, yes.
Do you recall at about 1640 hours? I don't know. Would that be 440?
Yes, that's 440.
Do you recall directing traffic at the intersection of Barstow Street and Corina?
Yes.
And do you recall Officer hearing anything over the radio at that time?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall what that was?
An officer had aired that you had driven around his barricade or into the parade route.
You. Who do you refer to?
No, they're doing it with.
And you knew that at that time.
Not at that time, no.
So how would you say you?
Throughout the investigation, it was determined to be you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Do you recall there? Do you recall it being any other air information at that time?
Yes.
Did you recall what that was?
Objection calls for hearsay.
Grounds.
Are you offering it for the truth of the matter asserted or for some other reason? Otherwise,
For,
it's
for the
hearsay.
truth of the matter, I'm asking him, does he recall what was aired on his radio?
Well, then you're asking him to testify to hearsay, so it's sustained.
I'll be right back. I love you.
Now, see, had he gone to be a lawyer, he would have probably known that before he asked
Do you
the
recall
question.
officer indicating that the vehicle was continuing westbound and possibly blaring its horn?
Objection.
Grounds.
Same objection, Your Honor. He's attempting to testify and offering hearsay statements into the record.
I'm not attempting to testify.
Sustained
Not
Grounds for the sustain.
for the reasons the state indicated.
Do you recall?
You can ask the witness if he heard any horns at that time. That would be different. But what someone else may have reported would be hearsay if it's offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Well, I'm reading from the report that he wrote.
That doesn't take away that it's hearsay. If it's in the report and someone else said it, it's actually double hearsay.
Do you
So
recall
the report means
hearing about a
nothing
vehicle
then?
blowing its horn?
Objection.
Grounds.
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled, he asked if this witness heard. That's how I heard the question. I think that's what you were asking. You mean at the, I'm
Did you hear about a horn?
What did you hear, Your Honor?
if the question was, did this witness hear a horn? Then the witness may answer the question. Did he hear about a horn? That's different. That would be hearsay. So why don't you rephrase your question, sir?
Did you hear a horn?
No.
But he wasn't.
And just so we're clear, I assume that your question meant when he was at Barstow and Carina. because that's where he was positioned.
Correct.
Right? That's what you meant?
Yeah.
Was that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay, very well. Next question.
Wow. Oh, we're caught back up.
Do you have any other questions for this
Yeah.
witness?
Yeah.
He's just got to read the report first.
Any reason why it would be in your report that a vehicle was blaring its horn?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Assumes facts not in evidence. Calls for hearsay. Sustained.
Well, I think it should be known that if he did do it, he did do it. I mean,
Have you
the
read
horn,
the complaint in this matter?
that might indicate he
No.
was trying to get people out of the way.
Have you seen the complaint in this matter?
No.
I'm gonna have to hop off of here for now.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to end it
All
too
right.
pretty quick.
All right, I love you.
Love you too.
Bye for now.
Bye.
You yourself filed a claim in this matter?
No.
You know of anyone who filed a claim in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Overruled. He may answer if he knows.
No.
All right. Well, this is getting kind of boring pretty quick. I don't know if it's going to be over for today or what, but
Do you recall whom subpoenaed you to
I might
testify
come
here
out
today?
tomorrow with more. I assume
The
he'll be back
state of
out here doing
Wisconsin.
his shenanigans. If
Via
anything interesting
the
comes up between now and then,
Waukesha
I
County
will
District Attorney's Office.
try to post a video about it. But
You
until
said
then,
state of Wisconsin. Who would you be referring to when you
Thanks
say
for
state of
joining.
Wisconsin?
and
The
see
entity
you
that
guys
is the
later.
state of Wisconsin